Hey, white friends. Um, it's been a tough week. And for that reason, I've been outside a lot, just trying to release. And so you get me fresh after a workout. So sorry, you get what you get. But it's been a tough week, and culminating last night in the news that actor Chadwick Boseman passed away from colon cancer. And I know many of you don't get it. I am fully aware that it seems odd and maybe even absurd that the African American community is mourning the loss of Chadwick Boseman. But I just want to lead with the phrase, and maybe then you'll understand. Representation is key. So let me back up. Most often in Hollywood, until recently, media portrayed us in TV and movies as either the villain, the victim, or not visible. Not at all. We were either the victim, always needing to be rescued, always the one needing the help, always needing to look outside of ourselves or our culture for someone else to come rescue the victim, or the villain, the bad guy. Just black is wrong, black is bad, or not visible, just not present, no images at all. And so over time, we have been changing that. It started with us creating our own networks, and that's why I know sometimes people don't understand, why is it okay to have black entertainment television? If we had white entertainment television, that would be racist. Well, the reason is white entertainment television is television. You guys are everywhere. So because there were no images, we were forced to create our own. And I use the word forced because trust. There were attempts to go into mainstream media, attempts to go into the networks that already existed. And when we brought our suggestions and our scripts and ways in which to infuse African Americans into mainstream television, they weren't received. So after making those attempts, we were forced to create our own networks and in order to tell our own stories. And so more and more, we're seeing more pictures of ourselves. But it was not until the Black Panther that we knew just how much it meant. In the Black Panther, you had an entire cast of African American heroes. Now, you might think that that was just important for, that's child's play. Little black boys and little black girls could get into it. But when you saw grown folk dressing up in full African American attire going to see a movie, why was that so important? Was that just something so trivial? No. But for the first time, we saw ourselves on the big screen portrayed in such a powerful light that it did something to our soul that we didn't even know that we needed. Representation is key. So yes, the passing of the man who starred in that role hurts. It may sound silly, but I hope you understand that it's not trivial, but it is about representation. So rest in peace to Chadwick Boseman. And we just appreciate all the roles that you played and the representation of us. So speaking more about representation, think about the nomination of Kamala Harris. You may not like her. You may be a Republican or a Democrat. I'm not even talking politics. I'm talking representation. Can you imagine what it is doing to validate and esteem and encourage not only little black girls, but grown women like me to say, you know what? That could be me. That could be my daughter. It is possible. I now believe it is possible because I see it. Um, Everyone knows the story of Noah and the ark, whether you're a believer in the Bible or not, but I'm going to use the story as a reference point. Noah was told by God to build an ark. He was told to tell the people, y'all need to get on this ark with me, and you need to help me build it. But they didn't. And we can look at the people now and say, oh, they were so dumb. But do you know that they had never seen rain? So you're now telling me to use my time, my energy, my effort, my resources to plan for something that I have never seen. So take that same notion. I'm outside and these crazy things are making noise, so I'm so sorry. So take that same notion and think about an African American kid who's in high school. And you're telling them, oh, you should go to college. You can be a doctor. But they've never seen a black doctor outside of Heathcliff Huxtable. So now you want him to plan and prepare for something that he's never seen. Or you tell them, you can be president. Really? But I've never seen it. So now you want me to plan and prepare for something that I've never seen? It was not until, even me as an adult, I didn't realize that I really didn't believe that I could truly be anything I wanted to be. Until I saw Barack Obama get sworn in as president of the United States. That unleashed in me something that I was unaware that I even had within me. Oftentimes, we don't realize our own unconscious limitations that we put on ourselves because of lack of representation. And it is not until we see it that that limitation comes off. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm kind of like a little bit off kilter today. The Black Panther died, y'all. In order for us to really believe that something is possible, most often, in order for us to believe it is possible, we have to picture it. And once we picture it, we'll plan for it. And when we plan for it, we can pursue it. In order for us to believe it's possible, we have to picture it. And once we picture it, we'll plan for it, and then we'll pursue it. So the more that we can picture it through representation, the more that we will take off the limitations that we've put on ourselves. We see a lot of black nurses, and nurses are amazing, but we don't see a lot of black doctors. The more black doctors that we see, maybe the kid who wants to go into medicine and only thinks that they can be a nurse, maybe now they'll pursue being a physician. Not because nursing is lesser, but because that's the only thing I've been exposed to. But now that I know that there's lots of black doctors, and it's not the, it's not this like, I don't know, like, what do you call it? Abominable snowman. Like, we see black doctors here and there, but the more I'm exposed to it, then you know what? I'm gonna go after that. Same thing. If we only see black people as the employee and not the entrepreneur, then you know what? I won't seek to be a business owner. I'll seek to be an employee. But if you expose me to it, then now that I can picture it, I'm gonna plan for it and pursue it. Ways that you can help. Career fairs at schools and churches and community centers. Make sure that you have a mixed group of represented people of all different cultures and ethnicities. Make sure to expose kids to positions and people that they had not seen before. Bring black speakers to events. Take your children to black professionals. Like, if you have only white dentists, only white doctors, only white obstetricians, maybe you can find a black pediatrician. Support black businesses so that they can see African Americans and minorities in positions of ownership and not always just employees. And then magazines and books and movies that tell a different narrative. And this is where it might be a little bit confusing for you. You ready? I'm not talking about slave movies and civil rights. Yes, those are important. We need to know our history and never forget it. So they're very important. But we need movies and magazines and representation where we are the victors, where we are the initiators, where we are the professionals and telling a different narrative than that same only narrative that we teach people, slavery and civil rights. Beyond that, help me to see beyond that. And then it's also critically important that white kids change their narrative by being exposed to representation, because it's also key for them. They may have biases based on never having seen a black person outside of what the media negatively represents. But now if they go to a black doctor or a black dentist, now you, for them, are increasing their exposure and by representation, dismantling racism. So I'm talking longer than usual because I'm thinking slow. It's been a tough week, but I want to end up with representation is key. And again, rest in peace and power to Chadwick Boseman.